looking like military outfits. Not Egyptian in any way, shape or form. Laughable. Ancient Egyptians did not use the sword, and the queen did not engage in military exercises. Besides, the man she is battling is in a modern Arabian outfit. Very, very anachronistic. One more time, the royal dress of the so-called Cleopatra is not Egyptian, especially the feathers around the tail that could suit better a Spanish flamenco dancer, not an Egyptian queen. Surrounded by entourage of African faces. Absurd, totally absurd. The face is all glittery and totally un-Egyptian makeup on black skin. African black faces and weird costumes all over the screen. Once again, all black faces across the coronation scene, including the priesthood. This is not Egypt, but could be Angola or Nigeria for that matter. The face, hair and makeup of some woman who is completely alien to ancient Egypt, let alone be queen. Egyptian royal kids were not like that. Their hair should have been shaven and only spared a side lock. Ridiculously untrue depiction. This is the image of a bar attendant, not of an Egyptian queen. Egyptian musicians did not play harp on the go, like in rock concert. They had to be seated, and mostly harp players were blind, unauthentic, un-Egyptian. Now this is a gypsy dancer, not a queen of Egypt. Most of all, not the illustrious Cleopatra the Seventh.
My grandmother saying to me, I don't care what they tell you in school, Cleopatra was black.
Excuse me? Are you kidding? Netflix, what are you up to? This is deception, not even in disguise. Is this some kind of fiction film? If this is some kind of entertainment, well, I could take it. I could take it with a bucket of salt. No, wait a minute. It's not fiction. It's a documentary. But a documentary is supposed to document. In other words, it's supposed to tell the truth. This is not the historical truth. Cleopatra is black? Egyptian kings are black is a malicious lie, being propagated by mainstream media and now by Hollywood. I'm proud to stand with Queen Cleopatra, a reimagined Cleopatra, said Tina Gharafi, the director of the film, to Variety magazine. Reimagined. You don't reimagine prominent figures who are well established in ancient history. Simply no room there for reimagining. Shame on you, Netflix. Director Tina Gharafi, executive producer Jada Pinkett Smith, for creating a visual deception about ancient Egypt and its kings and queens, tarnishing the image of the illustrious Queen Cleopatra VII, the last active queen of ancient Egypt under the Greek dynasty of Ptolemy I, the Greek military general and comrade of Alexander the Great. Netflix, you are not only ruining Cleopatra's image, but that of ancient Egypt as well. We Egyptians cannot and will not accept that visual deception. Now, historically speaking, Cleopatra was Greek by blood lineage. She was a foreign queen from a Greek dynasty called the Ptolemaic dynasty that conquered and ruled over Egypt for more than 300 years. Now, to shamelessly and falsely portray Cleopatra as black is like alluding indirectly that kings and queens of ancient Egypt were black, and this is simply not true. This is deception. Deception wrapped in nice cinematic imagery that could only deceive the uneducated and untrained eyes. Gharafi, the director, said in a Variety magazine interview, the known facts are that Cleopatra's Macedonian Greek family, the Ptolemaic lineage, intermarried with West Asia's Seleucid dynasty. Cleopatra was 8 generations away from these Ptolemaic ancestors, making the chance of her being white somewhat unlikely. After 300 years, surely, we can safely say Cleopatra was Egyptian. Yes, we could safely say that Cleopatra was Egyptian in a sense. But is being Egyptian synonymous with being black in the director's rationale and mind for this deceptive documentary? No, being Egyptian is definitely not synonymous with being black. To depict the Greek queen Cleopatra VII as African black is also an indirect and not so canny way to blackwash ancient Egyptian history and hand it over to the Afrocentric movement in Hollywood, and hence export this ugly and totally false image of Cleopatra and ancient Egypt to the whole world, wrapped in cinematic imagery that would delude the laymen from around the world who did not know better. But let us reassess, as Netflix said. Let's dig into Cleopatra's VII's lineage. Her father was Ptolemy XII, who married his relative Cleopatra V, who was likely one of his sisters or cousins. They had together two girls, Berenice IV and a second daughter, Cleopatra VII. The king's three youngest children, Arsinoe V, Ptolemy XIII, and Ptolemy XIV, were born to an unknown mother. Even that unknown mother could have been an Alexandrian white concubine. How do I know? From the depiction of Ptolemy XIII on coinage. His features are in no way or shape African. If I can accept Cleopatra's brother, Ptolemy XIII, as black, surely we could safely conclude that Cleopatra was not either. To reinforce my thesis, Cleopatra was the queen of Egypt for like 20 years, so we could safely assume that she was portrayed in paintings and sculptures that bust and facial features are not African. They are not black. Here is another documentary from the Netflix series, exploring the lives of prominent and iconic African queens. The first season covered the life of Njinja, the complex, captivating, and fearless 17th century warrior queen of Ndongo and Matamba in modern-day Angola. The nation's first female ruler, Njinja, earned a reputation for her blend of political and diplomatic skill with military prowess and became an icon of resistance. That's very good. Queen Njinja of Angola. That's nice and all, but who cares about this Njinja? Moreover, who has ever heard of this Queen Njinja of Ndongo and Matamba? Nobody. Nobody really cares. There is no potential world audience for this Njinja of Ndongo and Matamba. But with Queen Cleopatra, with Queen Cleopatra VII, the tables are turned. A whole different story for the whole world will be watching. Now, I will show you some assessment. I will tell you why Netflix turned Cleopatra into a black queen. If the Netflix documentary series is about African queens, then they will not find any across the continent to appeal to the world audience, unless maybe they started the series by breaking the historical norms and facts by portraying Queen Cleopatra of Egypt as a black queen. This way, the new series will attract the attention and world audience, and it did. Second of all, in some way or another, Hollywood is trying to blackwash ancient Egyptian history by portraying all the Egyptian royal household, priesthood, and soldiers as black-skinned people. This simply was not the case in ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt enjoyed a wide spectrum palette when it came to skin color, but black was not at all the color of the people and their monarchy, except when Egypt was conquered by Nubian warriors who established a whole distinguished dynasty, the 25th dynasty, known as the Kushite dynasty, that ruled from 740 to 650 BC. Other than that, all Egyptian kings and queens were not black. Queen Hatshepsut was not black. King Thutmose III was not black. Akhenaten was not black. Queen Nefertari was not black. King Ramses the Great was not black. And Queen Nefertiti was definitely not black. But most of all, Queen Cleopatra was absolutely not black. Netflix, stop this nonsense. Cleopatra was not a black queen. And most importantly, ancient Egypt is not synonymous with black.